for it. Was there 9 offensive players taken even?
Yeah, but hey, it's the Fantasy Joe's Drafter Party Part 1. Finally, we're live on YouTube. It only took us about an hour. The draft's been over now for 45 minutes. Fellas, introduce yourselves. Let's go to John Bosch first of all. John Bosch, what's going on?
Not much. Most disappointing first round ever. Sorry, that was a horrible first round. I cannot wait for the second round.
And we've got Ethan Turner with us. Ethan, how you doing?
How's it going, guys? I actually don't know if the draft's over yet. I think Seattle might still be picking at the 29 spot. I think they're just trading back with themselves.
I really hope they take a wide receiver. Gotta be awesome if they took a wide receiver, wouldn't it?
I wish.
Oh,
they need something besides Tyler Lockett and Doug Baldwin, but Bosch just told us he doesn't care about injuries, so maybe he loves Baldwin this year. I don't know.
No, Baldwin is on none of my teams. He will not be on any more of them.
So it wasn't all bad. The first round ended with a bit of excitement, right, Trey Barrett?
Yeah, that's right, man. I was literally just thinking as like pick 31 comes in and the Patriots are on the clock. I thought there's no way the Patriots take a fantasy relevant player here, and man, I was stoked to see N'Keal Harry, the arguably the best wide receiver in this class, lands in a wonderful landing spot. So I think it's going to be a really interesting decision at the top of non-superflex leagues for those bums out there that still play in those boring types of leagues. But at least you're going to make for an interesting discussion at the 2 and 3 spot in superflex leagues. So very interesting.
And Will, you got to be excited about your tight ends going off the board, the Iowa tight ends. That's not a surprise, but where do you?
We have the boys, but
wait, Will's alive? Are we sure?
I'm around.
I thought maybe you had just passed out from all the excitement earlier.
I pulled a hammy, but you don't care about injuries, so then I walked back. We're here now.
I do care about injury.
So I was just looking back. So I just looking back at a spreadsheet about the first round draft picks, Bosch, to whether or not validate or come to something with the table that this wasn't one of the more boring fantasy first rounds ever. And I think it's a mixed bag. It's right there. I don't know. I just don't know. I want to be fun and exciting about this draft class, especially because 2 Iowa tight ends go in the top 20, which is awesome. But they aren't projecting tight ends is a little bit above me. But I mean, TJ Hockenson might as well be just the 101 right now.
Nobody has anything to say about that. I don't know. I like Hockenson. I don't know if the Lions is necessarily the best spot for him. Obviously Matt Stafford's going through a lot right now with his wife. I don't know if you guys have been following that with her with I think she has a brain tumor or something very serious medically going on with her. So Stafford might miss some time. So if they can't build that rapport, not exactly super thrilled about Hockenson there, but at least he's going to have a spot on the field.
Yeah, I mean, you think he's gonna miss time? He's gonna take time away because this is news to me. I guess it's certainly possible. I know she's going through a lot with this, But
showed up for day one. He showed up for day one of camp. He was there early. Let's go. Let's rock and roll on Monday. Even though his wife had, I think, just come home. So at least early indications are he's there. He's in camp and ready to go. So.
Fant is the first tight end for me.
Yeah, I agree. I love the Hockenson pick for Kerryon Johnson, who is one of my favorites to skyrocket in value this coming season. I think he's going to jump up to be a top 10 running back. And so I thought the Hockenson pick was pretty solid. They're doing some things on that offensive line, and Hockenson, he's a good receiver, but he's also a great blocker. So I think that it's an upgrade on the offensive line as well. So, but yeah, I'm with you, John. I think the fan and I think the landing spot in Denver, I think is gonna long term is gonna end up being a nice spot.
Yep, I mean that's a discussion I had. Hockenson was drafted earlier, but I like Fant in his spot. So Fant is my first tight end. That's where I will go.
I mean, he could lead that team in targets, honestly, if he's competing with Cortland Sutton and Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, he could be the best receiving option on that team next year. Obviously, there's still a long way to go, and they could add a receiver. I'd expect them to add a receiver in the draft potentially, but I think Fant. But we'll see. He's a little bit he's a little bit more on the raw side too, kind of cut from the Njoku cloth. So it could take him a little time, but.
Yeah, Fant came out as a much obviously bigger prospect. He's highly recruited in a few different places. He's actually from Nebraska, and then chose Iowa over them, kind of snubbed him. He was a big producer. His last season, I think he got a little bit banged up. He missed some time with some injuries, and it's strange because you see the guy like, so just to reference like TJ Hawkinson, like he's a guy nobody was talking about a year ago as a tight end or anybody that would go in the first round, much less be drafted this year or even come out. So as a redshirt sophomore coming out, TJ Hawkinson getting drafted 8 overall, I think is pretty shocking. But I think it fits. But what worries me and what I'm going to really dislike the rest of this time is, Matt Patricia and that team drafting Hawkinson 8 overall. You know what they're looking for, right? Like that's all he's going to be compared to. And he's not what Gronk is or what he will be. Like you can never expect somebody to have 17 touchdowns that early on in the season. So I think there's going to be some high expectations, but I think he's pretty sure-handed. He's smart. He ran a lot of the offense in Iowa, like his routes, everything like that. I'm very excited about that. But the first round tight end pick that high, there's going to be a lot of expectations.
Yeah, Hawk, I think, is still my number one tight end, but I'll tell you what. I know we don't overreact a landing spot, but landing in Denver with Joe Flacco, it makes you want to put Fant back there at number one. Because I've kind of gone back and forth during the process, but this week I've been like, Hawkinson is just so good. He's complete. And he's going to be on the field a lot because he's a great blocker. Trey, you made a good point in our chat during the draft that's good news for Kerryon Johnson because one way he's going to help the Detroit Lions is with blocking, and I think that it is good for Kerryon. So interesting pick. It's going to be interesting to see how people react to him going to the Lions and then Noah Fant going to the Denver Broncos. Hey, Ethan, I wanted to ask you about Hollywood Brown, and he's going to the Ravens, and we've heard about this Liz Frank injury, and we've got another participant joining us. I'm going to let him in. But while I'm letting Peter Howard into the conversation, what is your take on that injury that Hollywood Brown has, that Liz Frank, that foot injury?
Yeah, so a Liz Frank injury is basically it's either a combination of a foot fracture / dislocation. It's basically right in the middle of your foot. It can be a variety of severity. So it could be a sprain where they're only out for a couple of weeks. Obviously, his was much more significant. It ended his season. He eventually had surgery. They usually put in a plate, some screws to kind of stabilize everything in that foot. The problem is that when you're less than 170 pounds, and you rely primarily on speed, a foot injury is not exactly the best thing for you. Their foot injuries are not exactly easy to recover from. At least with an arm or a clavicle break, something that's in your upper body, you don't have to worry about walking on it all day. So it's just foot injuries in general for wide receivers are something that I don't really necessarily like to see because there's not really a good way to rehab them. You can't make it stronger like a knee or even a hip. There's just not a lot of muscle to build up around it to stabilize it. So I think that the fact that he went in the first round tells me that the NFL expects him to be healthy and ready to go this season. I don't really like the landing spot in Baltimore, but I think that the NFL expects him to be what he was in college, which was easily the fastest guy on the field pretty much every game. So while I personally am staying away because I don't like wide receivers that are that small with foot injuries already coming into the league, I think that the dynasty community especially is going to be a little higher on him just because he won the first round, and that carries a lot of weight for a lot of people.
Any of you guys high on Marquise Hollywood Brown? Anyone is like, oh yeah, I want to grab him in my first 3 picks, or get into some head nods? No.
I think Marquise Brown is a classic example of I really do think he is a good pick for the Ravens from an NFL sense. I think what he's going to be able to do as far as opening up their offense, kind of taking the top off defenses, I think is going to be a nice thing for Lamar Jackson, where teams are going to be a little less likely to come pack in the box. But I think for fantasy, he's not going to be delivering. The thing I love about him going in the first round, and I've seen other people mention this on Twitter, is in several of my leagues, people are going to take him in the top 7 or 8 picks. So those picks I have in the late first or early second, where I've been kind of stockpiling picks, I'm just going to end up getting a guy I like that much better at those picks. I am pulling for Hollywood Brown. I think that, the size thing, if there's ever a time in the NFL where there could be mold breakers as far as size or, all these other factors, weight, I think now's that time. 6-8 years ago, Kyler Murray would have never been the number 1 overall pick at his size. So I think it'll be fun to watch, and I think he's going to help that offense a lot. I think it's helpful for Lamar Jackson.
Hey, Peter Howard, what do you think of Hollywood Brown?
Wasn't a huge fan pre-draft. I didn't really understand all the hype about him. He seemed like a bit of a John Ross prospect. He was really fast, and so he looked good on the field when you're watching him because he could use that speed well in college. He was underproductive. And that's before you get to all the other concerns that everyone else just raised. Like, he did not make himself look special compared to the prospects on his college team. I don't know how he's going to do it on his NFL team, frankly. That happens sometimes, but honestly, players with his kind of production rarely do, and they're almost never top 12 players.
It looks like we lost Peter there for a second. He was so disgusted by Hollywood Brown. He's like, I'm done. I'm not talking about it anymore. Click. I think he's back.
That fucking terrible Kentucky internet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wanted to ask him about Harry too. Peter, you were excited about the Patriots last pick. He's back, everybody. And he's been your
to that 3 times.
He's been your what?
Oh, hey, Peter, let's not bring in the communication issues on our end.
Okay.
I was so N'Keal Harry. You were excited. We were talking live when it happened, and you're wide receiver number 1. I think during this whole process, you're really high on him. Is he? He's pretty much hands down your 101, Peter, in your rookie drafts. Maybe not in the Superflex league, but
God, everyone's trying to take the fun out of this, man. It's draft night. I don't know. Let's see how everything else falls. I was saying Harry 101 before this, just because he's the only. There are about 7 prospects I feel pretty confident about in this class, like at all positions. Like they have pretty good comparables for the NFL prospects that were successful in the past, and there are only 7. Harry stands out above all of them in terms of how well he compares to other successful prospects. Now, the best you can do is like a 50% chance of hitting in the NFL with that. So it's not so much that Harry is locked in, it's that everyone else has less than a coin flip chance of actually being relevant in the NFL, a lot less than a coin flip chance. And I think I can get Harry to about 50-50. So that makes me really high on him. But, I haven't really processed it all. We've got Josh Jacobs going to Oakland Raiders. You've got positional value to weigh in. Fresh off the draft, yeah, he's very clearly my 101, but that's because I was a really big fan of him coming in, and he's gone to a successful team and in the first round, and that's great. Can I be persuaded onto Josh Jacobs in single quarterback leagues? Maybe. Jake will have to talk to me a lot more about why he's good, because he didn't really play enough in college for me to have any idea of how good he is. So, I mean, it's just a rumor that he's talented to me right now. It's just... that's harder to rely on than a player who put up multiple years with the receiving and rushing work and stuff like that. But not to get into Josh Jacobs too far, but I can tell you N'Keal Harry is the one prospect in this draft that measures as well as a prospect can do in terms of his likelihood of being fantasy relevant in the NFL. He just went in the first round to one of the most successful teams in the NFL. I think if he's not in the conversation for 101, then you're probably tilting a little too hard or expecting a little too much of this draft class.
Wait, can I weigh in for just a second?
No, of course.
Go away, John.
Peter,
Nope, you're
go
out.
take your victory lap, dude. Are you running while you're smoking that cigarette? Are you running your victory lap? You need to just
Well, I
tell
was,
Jake.
and then
Tell Jake.
He actually
No,
tested
just tell
slightly
Jake.
faster than Josh Jacobs.
Jake,
I
right.
was running a hell of a
Jake, I was
victory
right.
lap, man. I was running around Twitter waving a flag. I've become a Patriots fan, and then all these goddamn I mean, I'm pretty much a wet blanket when it comes to hope in the future. But on draft,
Fully soaked.
I'm
Total
full of nothing but
saturation
hope and
blanket.
confidence. And the minute I started being happy on Twitter, everyone's like, "No, that's just wrong." They say he's a
That's like
slot
real
receiver.
Twitter,
It's like,
though, Peter.
we have 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes of excitement that this young kid who did really well in college just went to a great team. Can I just be happy for no? So I backed off my victory lap, John.
I don't think I've ever seen Peter smile. But look at him. Peter cannot smile enough right now. This is fantastic. You don't see a Brit smile like this. It's amazing. No, Peter, it is simple.
Excited.
He is easily the 101 in non-superflex. Like, I'm sorry. Jake, I love you. There's no way you can even argue that N'Keal Harry is not the 101. Jake's not
If the Patriots wide receiver, would we be shocked if they cut him before the season starts?
What?
Yes, we would be very, very shocked. Just to point out, I actually don't know where Jake is. I'm just guessing Jake will like Jacobs in that conversation. I don't know where he's at. I'm pretty confidently on Harry.
Yeah, he's probably the 102 until we see where AJ Brown goes. But N'Keal Harry is easily the 101 right now.
Anybody want to make an argument for Josh Jacobs? Trey, you were kind of saying when he got off the board, he's in consideration for the 101. I'm saying Trey's not going to.
I'll go slam. Like, I think you would take Josh Jacobs to the 101, and it would, like, as far as Josh Jacobs is more likely, I think, to produce earlier than N'Keal Harry is at the Patriots, and that when it comes to, like, even dynasty leagues, even in a season, like that could affect what their value becomes from, where their value is extracted from. Not that one player is going to be better long term, but I do think that you could say, "Hey, I'm going to take Jacobs, and because my team's bad, and now then I can trade Jacobs for something else in the future." I think it's a horrible choice.
Yeah,
I can see that. I am a running backs are usually more important because they produce faster. So I understand that argument, but just based on the landing spot and the actual talent.
Because do rookie wide receivers have really good seasons at the Patriots with Tom Brady in that scheme? Am I missing something?
Well, I don't know. I'm still going to take N'Keal Harry. Yeah.
Hashtag analysis.
Yeah. Do any receivers have good? I don't know.
The flip side of the coin is,
God damn it! Why do you make a good point?
the flip side of that coin as well is how long does Brady have there still, and is he going to continue to play a bunch of years? And it's going to take anyone that's expecting N'Keal Harry to come in and put up top 20 production next season in that offense is fooling themselves, because that offense is still going to continue to run through the running backs and Julian Edelman and whatever tight end they take in round 2. And so I fully – what's that?
Irv Smith still get there. Go get him.
Yeah. I just fully expect it to be a little bit of a learning curve. So I do agree, Will, with you that I think that the margin between Josh Jacobs and N'Keal Harry, I think depending on your team makeup, and your league and scoring settings, I think that it could be a little bit closer. I think that both of them got pretty solid bumps, though, as far as how confident I am declaring those two guys are in a tier of their own, in non-superflex leagues, because they both went in round 1. And so I do think that draft capital really locks in if you want to kind of look at historical comps based on, obviously, Jacobs takes a little bit of a hit because of his lack of production, but that first round draft capital for running backs is usually a pretty big deal. So I think that those two guys it's going to be a fun debate. It's going to be interesting to see it kind of line up as we come, down the next 3 to 4 weeks.
It's huge. I mean, your league settings, your positional settings, that makes a difference. If it's points per carry, I'm taking Jacobs. But if it's not something like that, if it's I don't even want to say standard because PPR isn't standard, but if it's just a regular league with PPR, which should be standard, if it's that, it's Harry for me still. But if you have any type of running back bonus, points per carry, anything like that, then yeah, I would shift to Jacobs. It's those two right up, like you said, Trey. They are the top tier right now.
It sure ain't Hakeem Butler though.
No, god damn it. It's not.
Can we just get some Hakeem Butler truthers in here? You know, the titans of the industry.
Go
thought
away.
that he was the best wide receiver in the class. Can we
Peter,
just stomp on that a little bit?
It's kind of hard to have that conversation until we see where he lands. I mean, if he goes in the top 10 picks of the,
it's really not. Stop lying.
If he
really not. It's really not hard.
Peter, if he goes to Indy, what do you think?
Don't do that to me, John.
What if he goes to Patriots?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. He said nope. Wrong.
Nope.
We're already speculating about the second and third rounds. This is how well the first round went.
Which tells you how bad the first round went.
The first round, literally worst first round ever. It was
actually, guys, I'm taking Daniel Jones 101 in Superflex.
oh Jesus
super
Christ!
fun.
Get out of here.
I'm really excited about his coaching that he's had in the past and other skill sets.
He has, and I quote from NFL.com, faced so much adversity that the Giants just felt they had to take it.
That may have been.
And I love the guy. The guy's got a lot of positives. The player, I wish him the best. I hope he does well. I just don't think that's the best team to hope can nurture a prospect that's going to need more help.
I wish him the best. Just means do not take him.
It's like it's like when you say bless him.
Or wait, it's in English, or might you say that was a really brave pick?
It wasn't
even brave. At a certain point, you're not being brave, right? It's not being brave when you put the gun to your head and pull the trigger, right? That's not.
What do they, Peter? What do they say? What do they say in soccer when a player takes an ambitious shot? That was ambitious.
That was a wee bit ambitious.
Ambitious
shot is like taking one from outside the 40. It's not like trying to knock it in your own net from the 5. That's basically what they did.
That was ambitious, and that was fucking terrible.
It was ambitious for them to try and get in the other team's psychology by really messing with their draft board. That's what they were doing.
That was ambitious.
We had two teams with
they could have taken Haskins. They could have taken Haskins and then got Daniel at the next first round pick. They could have had both.
He was
why not just do that if you wanted?
That's been coming out the last couple of weeks that Daniel Jones was their number 1 rated quarterback, which is absurd. But the Raiders and Giants both, considering each team had 3 first round draft picks, both just absolutely dropped the ball. I mean, it absolutely awful. You wonder if some of these draft rooms around the NFL, teams that are trading down and, places like the Colts and the Eagles and the Patriots, if they're not looking at what the Raiders and Giants are doing with these draft picks and just
do the
laughing.
opposite.
I mean, literally, I would love to be a fly on the wall in some of those draft rooms of these teams that are really on top of utilizing their draft capital when they see these teams making these picks. I mean,
and I think that's what I was trying to say about Daniel Jones. I mean, we're going to look like, complete gits when he breaks out and becomes the best QB in football. And, they replay the gif of us just chortling along. But that's the point. The point is that they could have got him in the second round. They could have got him at their second pick in the first round. It's not whether he hits or not. It's the fact you've overreached for him so far that if you don't hit that very small chance of him being able to develop into a good quarterback, you've literally just wasted a first round pick for a team that needs more incoming talent than anyone pretty much else in the league, because they've just hemorrhaged some of the best talent in the NFL. So it's not that Daniel Jones is a bad player any more than trading up for Sam Darnold. Was it Sam Darnold last year? Yeah. Sam Darnold wasn't the problem. It's that why do you invest so much when you didn't have to? And you likely have hit the team. And now if this poor kid doesn't become the next Tom Brady, the least likely player to do it becomes the best quarterback in football, then suddenly it's on him. It's not on the player. This is on the team that severely overreached, hurt their team, hurt their players, hurt their fan base. I mean, Bobby Koch is still crying. I think this
Well,
this
he told me
this
he's
ruined
dead.
the release of Endgame.
He's dead.
I mean, come on,
Bobby died.
Well,
Bobby
he
Street
died on the field.
I mean, this is exactly what they did last year with Saquon Barkley, though, too. It's not so much a knock on the player. I mean, obviously, Barkley ended up an incredible talent, which we can debate that all we want. But, I mean, would you rather have Barkley and Daniel Jones, or would you rather have Sam Darnold and, whoever they could have picked here, whether it be Josh Allen, the good Josh Allen, or Ned Oliver? It just doesn't seem to make sense.
The question that's not the question. It's whether they want Patrick Mahomes, Barkley, and N'Keal Harry. I mean, they pretty much could have got all three with the capital they've pissed away getting these worst players. I mean, it's not Sam Darnold or, Josh Jacobs. They could have done a lot with their picks by just valuing who they wanted, trading back. They could have got Barkley. They could have traded into someone like Mahomes or even Sam Darnold, like you say. He seems like a good prospect, and got a great wide receiver this year. I mean, there's no reason they couldn't have had more. They just refused to try. That's literally, There's no magic here. They just didn't do it. There's nothing that stopped them other than they didn't do it. So, I mean, that's the criticism, for me at least. It's not the players that they valued like Jones. It's not the players that they valued like Barkley. It's that you didn't have to just have them, right?
God, they could have taken those 2 second-round picks that they used to get that safety and given that for Rosen. I mean, that would have been a fantastic strategy, and taken, someone that fills a much greater need with that early pick. I mean, there are just so many options. The Rosen situation, I think, is going to be really interesting to watch in early round 2, and see if he gets moved, or if the Cardinals are going to just sit on him for a bit. But yeah, the Giant, man, I couldn't imagine being a Giants fan right now.
It's a big mess, and also with Dwayne Haskins, the other quarterback, slipping to the Redskins, wasn't traded up for. He was basically just slipping, and they grabbed him there. It's very odd to me that they didn't feel like any other team was trading up. So either the Redskins know things we don't, and felt like they had no worries about other teams trading up into there, or that maybe Dwayne Haskins wasn't as big of a prospect that the rest of the community thought he was. I was very shocked that he just slipped to a regular pick. It's just for a quarterback that's.
I think he was shocked too.
Yeah, but as a franchise quarterback, it's really surprising that you didn't trade up for that.
Yeah, I like Dwayne Haskins. I like Dwayne Haskins a lot too. The only red flag with him is he hasn't played that much. I mean, that's really the only. I mean, I know he's not mobile. I guess there's more than one red flag. But hey, do you guys want to do a little super flex mock draft here? It's kind of perfect because there's 6 of us. We can take turns, and I'm curious how a super flex. I'm curious where. Daniel Jones, for example, is going to go in this thing. Because I wonder if he's not going to be a little bit like Josh Allen in the Superflex draft, and we're just so low on him in the Dynasty community that maybe he slips to the second round like he did in some Superflex rookie drafts last year, and people snap him up. Maybe we won't repeat that mistake, but maybe it's not a mistake. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait a second. Don't judge me. I'm not taking him still.
I don't want to take him, but if you're on the clock, if you get the 201 and you're on the clock and Daniel Jones is there in a super flex league, I mean, you kind of have to pull the trigger, don't you?
Are we doing 2 rounds?
No, I'm just saying hypothetically.
We're doing 4 rounds right now.
We're going until someone takes Daniel Jones. That's what we're going. We are going to go until someone takes Daniel Jones. So the decision of how long the draft goes is up to you all.
Someone's going to sit on the clock till round 2 happens.
Hey, is there a timer? Because I'll hold out. I'm not taking it.
Can I wait till round 2 and 3 if completed? Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to want a lot of other people.
Okay, one question though with this first round and it not being overly exciting for fantasy reasons, I feel like overall, is it because we're all obsessed with value and trading down? And now that everybody's seen this group, we look at dynasty value and dynasty player value, where you see some players picked. One, I think as a Vikings fan, I said they take the center out of North Carolina State. I'm like, why would you just trade back? Like that guy was going to be there way later in the draft, in my opinion. But my opinion also can be very wrong, and that kind of translates into their talent later. But how many times did you guys think that, like, hey, why are you taking this person now?
Oh, 5, 6, 7 times during the draft for sure.
I think
Every time they didn't take somebody that mattered to me, right? Like, I mean, NFL is way different than what we care about. I mean, they really do have to build defensive and offensive line. There should really never be an offensive player taken, except for quarterback in the first round, right? Like, I mean, there's really
just to point out
Go ahead, Peter. You're the numbers guy.
I was going to say we
invest that capital.
No, we give a lot of flack to the NFL, but the NFL, just based on my rant, I haven't done a deep research project into it, but it does fairly well at identifying the talent positions in each draft. When it's a weak class, like it is this year, we see defense really emphasized in the first round. And it's the same in what I would say is it's the same in DeAndre Hopkins' year. That was a weaker skill position class, and they drafted a lot fewer wide receivers and running backs in the first 3 rounds. So as much flack as we want to give the NFL team, as much fun as we're having, there is a difference between fantasy and the NFL, and they're building real teams. So we can recognize that, and also that they do shift, and they accurately predict which is a strong and which is a weak class. So as much fun as we want to have with it, they're doing a good job. And I don't think there's a question you should emphasize close to the ball, right? But you got to emphasize DB, you got to emphasize defense.
But here's the thing, though. Like these franchises, these 32 NFL teams, it's not even like corporate America. It's a bunch of it's the old boys network. It's these football teams have been in these families for generations, and there's a lot of dysfunction among these NFL teams where you maybe you have a competent GM, but the owner's going to come into the room and say, "No, we're going to take this guy. I like this guy. This is who I want." So I think it's fair to criticize because we see weird things happen in the NFL draft all the time. There are super smart people in the NFL, much smarter than all of us, sure, but the owners and other people in the organization, they screw that up all the time. Like, I'm going to criticize, I'm going to put myself out here because Rashawn Gary could turn into be the stud in the NFL. But the Packers at number 12, with all the defensive talent left on the board, they took Gary. There's so many questions with that guy. The guy had, no production in college. They talk about how he's a high maintenance guy. I mean, I don't think he was even the best defensive end on the Michigan Wolverines, and they took him at number 12. That's a questionable pick. I'm sorry. There are all kinds of examples of that. Well,
just to go back and, give Butler some love since I trashed him a second ago. I mean, the Ravens who just look at their track record. If a team continuously struggles at wide receiver and then they take a low odds prospect at wide receiver earlier than everyone was predicting, I mean, that just adds up. I mean, if you're going to take an upside player like that, even I would take Metcalf or Butler in the first round. If you're really shooting for the stars, those two have those kind of potential. I would never say they don't. There's a reason, like I said, the Titans like Ryan McDowell and Evan Silver love Butler and like DK Metcalf. And the Ravens just went for Hollywood Brown, who's fast and small and has an injury. I mean, Brown might hit, but it's just such a lower chance of it hitting and happening. I mean, you can criticize that. I'm sorry. They're building real teams. They know more than we do. And there's a lot more to an NFL team than a fantasy team. But it's not hard to say that if a type of player consistently gets overdrafted in the first round, consistently doesn't produce up to that level of draft capital, it's not unfair to say, even though I'm just no one who's playing fantasy football, that was a bad pick. I think that's more than fair.
All right, let's do a super flex.
I want to like that. I do think that Baltimore lost a lot this year in the offseason, and they chose pretty risky wide receiver prospect on that end. And I'm actually kind of sorry that you didn't take Irv Smith because last tight end on the board.
Why not take another tight end?
Because that's worked out so well.
Different regime.
It's just,
they could just do what they did last year with their tight ends. They could just have a better wide receiver prospect and pick them like 4 rounds later, and then they'll have both of them, and then you won't have to worry about it too much.
Yeah, there's just so many holes. But hey, we're here now. Good luck. I mean, I hope Marquise Brown proves us all wrong. Like, not all wrong, but just in the sense, like, I hope he's a stud. feel like every player's a stud. Why would you not?
I mean, I haven't processed the whole draft, but just eyeballing it, I think we have to give some credit to the Seahawks. Talking about a team that needs to add extra talent. It's got its QB, but it had some low picks, and it seemed to make a lot of trades. I haven't seen all the trades, but I'm guessing they picked up capital elsewhere. And that's just a good move for a team that needs to add more players than it has picks, right? So I'm thinking the Seahawks, just like I say, just a rough eyeball. I think the Seahawks might need some credit for the way they've played this draft with not a lot of high capital.
A decent pivot. But again, it's none of us are. I mean, at least to my knowledge, are great offensive and defensive line like gurus with evaluating people. They went on the defense side with the guy from TCU, and
those are positions.
But they traded back like twice. That's what I mean. They've just added extra value.
I got to be honest with you. I am an offensive line guru.
Whoa! I recognize this voice.
Yeah,
Who the hell invited this guy?
I love the Eagles pick
Carroll?
of who'd they pick? Andre Waters. I don't even remember who they picked. But real quick, so I joined late. What was everyone? No one liked the Harry pick?
No, Harry's great.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're all
cool.
We're all Hakeem Butler fans in
Jesus
here. We
Christ,
hate.
Shane. You're way late to
And
the
you
party
don't like the Brown pick because he's small.
because he's not good.
It's because
I mean, his college stats would beg to differ with you, though.
No.
Oh, don't give me his breakout age. He went to College of Cannon.
I'm not talking about his breakout age. I'm talking about how much he produced. Like literally how much he produced compared to good players.
So 2,400 yards wasn't good.
Shane, do me a favor. Take
Counting stats.
him
He's
and
coming in here with counting stats and challenging statistics. Get out of here, Shane. Come on, get.
No, please stay. But
I actually, and I don't even know that I like Brown. I just,
how could you?
I mean, but he's the type of dude. All he needs is 2 receptions a game, and he's going to break one for 50 yards.
That's what people
and
said
then
about
die.
John fucking Ross.
Well,
And it's true. Maybe he could do that, but that doesn't mean he adds a lot of value to you. I mean, there's like 7 guys who can't find targets because there's so many guys in the NFL that can do that. I mean, there's a couple who are so good at it that they've been particularly great, like Deshaun Jackson. But John Ross would be incredibly good at that. There's just no need for it. There's no great need for someone that can run fast and catch it 50 yards down the field.
I wish
because they've got good cornerbacks in the NFL.
I do wish that they would have went with AJ Brown, but
that would be amazing.
But why would they do that? That would have been the actual perfect pick. But
all right, pop quiz. College of the Canyons. Where's it located?
Colorado.
That's what that was. I was going to guess Colorado. Is that right?
It's probably in Iowa or something.
Canyons.
California. You guys are horrible.
California.
California College. Top recruits go there all the time.
We're still not going to.
Let's do a damn rookie superflex mock draft. I've been trying to fire this up.
Do it.
All right. Since Shane, go ahead, Bosch.
All three valid round 1 picks. Let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna sit this one out because we have. If I sit out, there's 6 of you, so we can take turns. Who wants? Let's see. Who wants the first pick?
I'll go first.
I'll wait.
Okay, this is super flex. Okay, Shane, go ahead.
Anyone, right? Not just players that have been taken so far.
Anybody.
Anyone.
This is
Living.
You still want to take Will Greer, Trey at the 102? Go ahead.
Don't spoil anything here.
Do you have a
We're just going like top 6.
Did you give us a draft order yet?
No, I haven't given you a draft order. So, Shane, we'll have you go first.
Wait,
Bosch,
Shane gets to go first. Screw that.
Fair.
Shane should not go first.
What?
First one an hour figuring out draft order.
We don't like Shane enough to let him go first. Let anybody else go first.
There's a motion on the floor to allow Shane to go first. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, great. Okay.
I'm going to shock the world here and go with Kyler Murray.
Whoa, are you serious now?
We're a hard pick there, Shane.
Now, mind you, the Arizona Cardinals are a raging dumpster fire of baby poop and grilled carrots because that organization is run by a drunk. just
There's
terrible.
nothing wrong with that.
They're fucking terrible. They are just so stupid. But I think Kingsbury's a great offensive mind that's going to get fired in 2 or 3 seasons when the Cardinals go 4-12 3 consecutive years. But Murray is going to crush it because even though they're not going to apparently bother to fix the offensive line, the dude can run for his life. And if the line happens to actually be half decent, then he's actually a very good thrower. So I love it.
And this is first round draft, let's say, graded offensive lineman available at the 201. I still had somebody right there. I like it. It's not obvious, but I still like it.
If I'm them, I would hope that they address the offensive line, but they have so many needs. I mean, they don't have any wide receivers except for Christian Kirk. Larry Fitzgerald is, great and all, but he's 35 now.
Doesn't matter. He's good for this year.
Yeah, he's good for this year, but I'm saying if you're building a team, you're going to probably want wide receivers beyond this year, besides just Christian Kirk. Yes, but Christian Kirk can't play all 3 wide receiver positions.
They could Shane,
at the same time.
Who's
this 2020 class is going to be great.
Draft.
Okay.
So does anybody have Kyler not at their 101 and a super flex? Like that's easy, right?
Locked in, easy. Super
I'd be
easy.
tempted with Harry.
What was that? You said,
I'd be tempted.
woo! You go wide receiver over Kyler Murray and a super flex.
I'm thinking of it.
If you have
Kyler Murray has one really great year on his resume, but he's only played for 1 year. And if you look at prospects that play one really great year, then get drafted in the NFL, most of them struggle. I really do think that Kyler Murray's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting him in a bad group there. I think he's talented. He's a spectacular prospect, but at the very least, I think he might struggle. He's played QB for a significant number of snaps once in college, and he's about to step into the NFL with a competition with Rosen already there, who's played a year in the NFL. I mean, that may well set him back a little bit. So I'm not saying
Murray's not.
I'm not saying it's a lock, but and Harry might be slow too. But I think wide receiver. I mean, Rosen's value's already. I mean, can you trade for him in Superflex for the late first round pick? I mean, if that happens to Harry, I think QB value can be more influenced by stuff like that.
Give me all the Rosen at his current value, but
Peter, exactly. But that's
Peter.
the thing.
Do you not think Rosen is the starter in week 1?
No, I think it probably is, which goes back to the Murray value, right?
No, I'm sorry.
Rosen's not on that roster in week 1.
I think Murray is.
Where's he going to be then?
Murray's the
I don't know.
starter. I'm sorry. Did I mess that up? I'm sorry.
Miami didn't draft a quarterback, right? So it was.
They got to be going for Rosen, right?
I would think. I mean, the Broncos still need a quarterback, right? But I can't see him going.
Love to see him go to New Orleans and sit behind Drew Brees for a year.
Yeah, they're New England.
What are you going to do with Teddy Bridgewater then? I mean,
Bridgewater's not good.
Teddy's the same as he's always been.
Yeah, he was never good. Everybody just
but I think they like.
We take our favorite quarterback, expect top 12 production, and when we don't get it, his value drops. We do it over and over again. Deshaun Watson dropped out the top 12 after being in the top 5 in his first year. I mean, and he did well in his first year. He did really well. And same with Darnold. He's suddenly a borderline top 12 pick. We do it over and over again. Now, QB value is more sustainable. Like, they don't drop into irrelevance like Rosen happens to have been, which is weird. But, I mean, it happens a lot. We expect too much from rookies in general, and QB's such a... We seem to devalue them so much so quickly that I don't know. I would struggle with that.
No, that's what I'm asking you, Peter. If you had to choose, would you take... I mean, I think we all kind of think that Murray's going to be the starter, right, in week 1 for Arizona. Is that correct?
No idea.
Oh, I think so for sure.
100%.
Murray's going to be starter.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
You're
but
not
you know
sure,
what?
Peter?
Would you have thought that Arizona would go ahead and spend the first-round draft pick on a quarterback when they just spent a first-round draft pick on a quarterback the year prior?
Yeah, with rookie contracts the way they are now, I think that's
The contract isn't the issue, though. It's the waste of draft capital.
Yeah, but you know what?
Draft
I mean,
capital.
Evan Silva just spoke beautifully about this on a podcast this week, and he said that that's one of the worst mistakes that NFL franchises make is trying to consider, past. But he called it sunk cost, and essentially it's saying like, so Cliff Kingsbury has come in. They hired him to run this team. If Kyler Murray is the guy he wants, it doesn't matter if they spent the 101 on Josh Rosen last year. That means nothing now.
What's happened?
If you continue to act now based on what you did then. So they took Kyler Murray 101. He's their guy. I would be shocked if 60 days from now Rosen's still on the roster.
Look, I know Evan's infallible and all, but you still could have done more with the 101 than filled a position that you didn't have a need at. You could have traded back for.
But they do is what I think they're saying. And
Well,
it's
they're wrong.
a disproportionate need. If you
For the
don't,
NFL,
it's a disproportionate need. That's not a fair comparison at all. I mean, the reality is here. If you stick with Andy Dalton for 5 years, you get the Cincinnati Bengals, which is fine, but it's not what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
I mean, Andy Dalton's fine, but it's not what you're trying to do. And saying you just have to stay fine instead of trying to become better.
But okay, so you just talked about devaluing quarterbacks. So Josh Rosen's bad because he was behind the worst offensive line in football last year with no offensive.
We don't know if he's bad. We don't know if he's bad, but why take?
What did his college profile tell us?
Nothing. I mean, college profiles for quarterbacks are particularly tricky, but he says he was comparable to the top players in this class, but slightly probably below Murray with more experience, which is
okay. Good. So if he's slightly below Murray, right? To me, it would seem to make sense to just fill out the other positions of need. If he's just slightly better than Rosen,
I'm not saying he's slightly better than Rosen. I'm saying his prospect profile put him in a slightly higher category to be good in the NFL rather than average. That's the best I can say with quarterbacks. I'm not a particularly good quarterback evaluator, to be honest.
But what Arizona knows, they've had him for a year. That organization has been, the GM has been around for a year. So maybe they know something we don't. Even last year, there were doubts about him. He's kind of got a quirky personality. He slipped last year in the draft. So maybe he just doesn't have the mental acuity to be a great NFL quarterback. And maybe Arizona knows that, and they're cutting their losses. So
I think it's kind of risky to speculate like secret motives. Like it could be anything, right? Maybe they don't like the way he eats his breakfast. I don't know. But like maybe it's that, or maybe it's just taking the shot that getting a quarterback is like step one for having an above average good NFL team. Like without it, you're kind of just lost in the wind. So why would you try and fill out other positions to become average when you'll still be searching for that quarterback? If you've got a shot and you've got 2 shots in a row of getting the thing that you need to become better than just average, take them. I think that's what the whole idea is here. I mean, it's okay, obviously, to disagree with that, but I think it's fine logic. It's not like a bad decision to try and lock in the hardest thing to find with an incredibly large shelf life. Like if one of them hits, I mean, their window is pretty large with 2 first and second year quarterbacks on their roster to build around them, right? I think that's the logic there, not whether Rosen is good or bad, but if you've got another shot, if you can take a second bite at the hardest apple to get in the. I'm running out of metaphors here, guys. Someone else talk.
No, I guess I don't know. I guess it's for me. I just feel like they gave up on Rosen way too quick. But yeah, it's a new quarterback, it's a new head coach. He wants a guy. Fine. The GM should have been shit canned too, but that's a whole other topic.
Hey, we got Jake Anderson, Paul Perdichisi joining us. Perfect timing. We just had pick 1 of our Superflex rookie mock draft. No surprise, Kyler Murray went off the board.
And Shane believe it or not, it was controversial, apparently.
No. Look, because I'm talking about from a real football sense.
We've talked about it for about 15 minutes, even though
from a fantasy football stance. Well, from a fantasy football stance, I'm completely on board with Kyler Murray easily being the 101. I'm just talking about a real football. It's all very confusing. The thought process behind that organization. I mean, there's a reason that organizations like the Patriots continue to win. Organizations like the Eagles are contenders. And then you have Arizona, who falls over themselves and every once in a 15 years has a good run because they find Kurt Warner or, they get Kurt Warner or whatever late in his career.
Draft some good Iowans. That's the point you're trying to make. I get that. It's also really weird to look back at draft classes, and then you have that 1 year where there's only 31 picks in the first round because the Patriots got theirs taken away. It's just kind of funny.
All right, let's
we just
move
kind
on.
of
Sorry,
can we just
I
actually
apologize.
not move on, stop everything, and just ask Jake about who's the best wide receiver in this class? Maybe that would be fun.
This is the reason I almost didn't come on today.
So Jake taking DK right here.
Jake, you missed Peter's victory lap earlier.
Oh God! It's going to be going on for weeks, so I'll catch up. Don't you worry.
At least hours until DK gets drafted. But whatever.
Too good. It's too good.
Can't
Peter,
wait.
Let's put Jake. Hey, let's put Jake on the clock with the 102 and see if he'll take that wide receiver.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Take him back.
So,
This is tough.
Keep.
You can't get both first picks.
This
Come
is
on, you
really
got-
tough, honestly.
You've got the courage to do it, Jake.
I don't even want the 102 right now. I want to see what you guys do.
I don't want
you want
any
to trade
of-
out? You want to trade back?
I do.
You're like,
right in the Thunderdome.
Can I
Haskins,
trade back to like 104
Haskins or
and get
Fate?
like a late first? on
Here,
it?
I'll take the one. I'll take the 102. I'll go with Hakeem Butler.
what?
You're picking a
we're
day
talking.
3 wide
On
receiver.
what?
I know that's a lie.
Now we're talking.
This is
Hey, let's. Ethan hasn't had a chance to talk for a while. So Ethan Turner,
Yep.
why don't you take the pick?
Oh,
102.
yeah, I don't want to take this pick.
Nobody wants to
Horrible.
Where's Peter right now, and how is he not throwing a fit?
Once you get past Kyler Murray, I mean, really, it's all about personal preference at this point, especially in a super flex. I mean, I don't really like where Dwayne Haskins went. I don't really like. I mean, I guess N'Keal Harry would be kind of the safest pick because at least I know where he's going. I'm just going to switch it up. I like running backs more than wide receivers. So I'll just take Josh Jacobs here and
Nice
let you
pick.
guys fight over the rest of these wide receivers because I think Jacobs is the most outside of the quarterbacks is the guy that I think is going to produce the quickest, I guess, is in terms of fantasy and in the NFL because I don't think he's going to have any competition there for touches. And I think he's going to, outside of like Jalen Richard, but I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to have any problems usurping Jalen Richard. So I think that he's probably the safest pick in terms of getting production immediately.
All right. Who agrees with Josh Jacobs at 102?
I think it's a conversation.
Not me.
think
I don't
it's a
mind it.
conversation.
I like it.
He was the 101, and I've said this in a couple different chats already. He was the 101 3 months ago, and now he's got the draft capital to back it up at least. And Gruden's actually in the past has had successful running backs. What are you going to do? I mean, it's a day one running back. Historically, those guys hit. I think if Peter's around, he can verify if that's true or not.
Yeah, as long as you're not Rashad Penny, you hit most of the time.
Well,
That's fine. That's right. Hey, Jake, where was DK Metcalf drafted in the first round? I can't.
Jake was like, you know what?
remember.
I'm going to bring up Rashad Penny as soon as I get on this.
I'm gonna get buried for the
No,
next
it's
24 hours
it's
for
only
sure.
uber productive.
It doesn't matter if DK goes with the first pick in the second round. Oh, N'Keal Harry got drafted in the first round. N'Keal Harry just continues to check off boxes, Jake.
I can't even make any more boxes that he can check.
That impression is
Let me fit you in mine.
He didn't even do the accent. He just straight said the words that you would say, but not even with an attempt at the accent.
I don't even want to go down that road.
Hey, I want to, Paul, you're here, right? I want to give a shout out to Paul because I'm looking at your picks. You nailed 25 of 32 first round picks, and you nailed all the quarterbacks but one. You got you picked one running back, Josh Jacobs. You nailed that. You picked one wide receiver, Marquise. Oh, what? No. Oh, no, you missed on N'Keal Harry. That's right. Sorry. And then you got Hawk and Fant. So nice job.
I mean, I think just to butt in here, I think we got to give a round of applause for him mocking Daniel Jones to the Giants correctly.
Yes, absolutely.
He's a Giant.
And being excited about it too.
Yeah.
The only person who expected that was every New York Giants fan that was dreading Jones.
Right. Like living through their nightmare.
But like for realistic purposes, I can't believe it actually happened. Good job. Nice pick.
It's probably the low moment of my Giants fandom. Like I was fortunate enough to be on air before with Sig Bloom and Matt Waldman, and it was coming to the point where I was gonna give my farewells because I was going to be on the first hour with them, and it was coming to the Giants pick. So they were like, "Oh, hang around.
Stick around. We want to see what happens.
Let's see what the Giants pick. Who do you think they're picking?" And we had like a 5-minute conversation that it has to be Josh Allen, right? You don't pass on an elite defensive player, that falls into your lap when all you do is talk about best player available, and then Bloom didn't have a TV in front of him, so I had my iPad right next to me, and I saw it come up on my Twitter feed, and he just looked at my face, and I was like, "The pick's in. They did it." And he was like, "Oh no!" And it was like 10 minutes of us just basically trashing Daniel Jones. And listen, Daniel Jones would have been a fine day 2 pick. He's probably going to be a fine average starting quarterback in the NFL. But I don't.
Do you wish him the best?
At pick 6, you don't say, you know what I want at pick 6? I really want Ryan Tannehill or Andy Dalton. That's not the goal of picking a quarterback in the top 6. So listen, man. I hope I'm dead wrong. I hope Gil Brandt's right when he says he reminds him of Peyton Manning, and I will eat all the crow in the world if the Giants end up getting the next Peyton Manning. But I think it's much greater chance he's the next Ryan Tannehill or Andy Dalton, and the Giants are stuck in mediocrity between 6 and 9 wins for the next 8 years.
Oh, guys.
Paul, it was their only chance to get him in the first round, right?
Don't get me started. They could have sat there at 17. Nobody was taking him. The Redskins played the way they came. I wouldn't even have cared. Honestly, if the night would have been Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, DeAndre Baker, I would have been sitting here in a pretty happy mood. The fact that Josh Allen would have been a Giant. I would have been like, okay, I don't really love Daniel Jones, but if they like him, other people in the NFL seem to like him. They let it come to them. They took him at pick 17. Hope I'm wrong. They're right. At least they got a blue chip defensive player that would be like the crown jewel of this draft class. And then they did the unthinkable.
Well, can I ask you this, Paul?
Yeah.
You don't think it's important to secure your backup quarterback for Eli Manning for the next 3 years?
You Eagles fan.
Look, I like Paul, and I like other Giant fans, and to just watch what's happening, I can't even take joy in it because it's so bad. You know what I mean?
Wait,
it's like
the backup quarterback didn't win the Super Bowl for the Eagles. Am I missing something here?
If Daniel Jones has half the career of Nick Foles, I'll be shocked.
It's really not fair in one offseason to trade Odell Beckham and then use the pick in the draft on Daniel Jones.
Well, then to make matters worse, Dwayne Haskins goes to a team within the division. I mean, that's just adding insult to injury.
Yeah, I wanted Darnold last year. Darnold goes to the Jets, so I got to watch that for the next 15 years of my life. Then this year, I'm like, okay, we get Dwayne Haskins. Then they don't seem to have interest in him. They draft Daniel Jones. Dwayne Haskins falls to one of their rivals in the NFC East. And in the meantime, we traded a generational wide receiver that could go down as one of the greatest of all time.
Could they have traded for Josh Rosen at any point and added him?
Yeah, they probably could have the move tonight should have been.
Yeah,
should have been Josh Allen,
Yeah.
a starting right tackle, and then trade pick 37 for Josh Rosen. And then
Can you imagine?
I might not even have been here. I might have been running around my development here celebrating like
It's right.
Andre Dillard,
like
Josh
that
Allen,
probably would have been
Josh
what is happening. But apparently nobody in the NFL likes Josh Rosen. It's Jake and I were just talking about it on Saturday to Sunday pod. And I will say this. The Giants are easy to make fun of right now for a host of reasons. But the Josh Rosen thing is so fascinating. I don't know if you guys talked about him all when you were talking about Kyler Murray before, but they clearly have to have some more inside information. No one really – he wasn't high last year. If the Cardinals don't move up last year and take him, who's to say he doesn't fall last year further in the draft? The Giants passed on him. The Broncos, who needed a quarterback last year, passed on him. The Bills moved up and said, no, we don't want Josh Rosen. We want Josh Allen. So the Jets passed on him. No one was really going after him strong in the last couple months, because if they would have been offered a first-round pick, that deal would have been done a while ago, and they wouldn't have let this linger if somebody offered that. And even tonight, there's been not a lot of word of like a team offering an early second-round pick. Like, there's something going on there with Josh Rosen, and whether it's the coachability, the personality, if there's legitimate injury concerns about the concussions, there seems to have to be a little bit more that meets the eye that it's not just the Giants, it's a lot of the NFL who's saying we have no interest in him.
Well, could it be
I heard Jake like
that?
him.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just real quick. Could it be the fact that most of the franchises that need a quarterback are complete shitholes and run by basically idiots? I mean, and not to simplify it, but Arizona is not a well-run organization. The Giants, we just discussed. Washington is a terrible organization. Like it seems that the organizations that need quarterbacks are really bad at being organizations. So I won't expect them to even make a good move.
Please do not fall off that soapbox, Eagles fan.
You make a good point there. You make a good point there. So pretty much tomorrow let's just pencil in Josh Rosen for a third-round pick to the Patriots, and then we could just keep harping on smart franchises do smart things and bad franchises do bad things. And this is why the Patriots keep ending up in the Super Bowl and the other teams don't.
Yeah.
Maybe Arizona didn't want to sell right away because they didn't want another team to take a victory lap after getting Josh Rosen.
I would die if the Patriots still somehow got Josh Rosen. That would be amazing.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think the Eagles made one of the best moves of the night by trading up to get Dillard, just right above the Houston Texans. I mean, that was just brilliant. The smart teams just get better and the dumb teams get worse, right? Shall we get back to the mock draft? We're moving at a fast.
You guys are like 35 by now, right?
Right on schedule.
We're on the NFL schedule.
Yeah, we are. We're the Seattle Seahawks here.
Hey, just
Wait, do you have a
talk
live band that's lazily playing in the back?
the NFL. I tweeted that. Could the NFL not afford a better cover band? My goodness. I mean, that was horrible. No comment.
I don't know.
Do we
I
know?
had the volume down. I don't know.
They're going the way of the AAF. They're going down here.
NFL.
Anyway.
NFL's overrated. No one watches anymore, right? Who's 102, by the way? Is it Harry? Oh, Jacobs.
Jacobs. Ethan took Jacobs, yeah.
I'm sorry. So who's the 103?
Just
Harry?
give Peter the 103 because
Okay,
He's
Peter,
the one
take
that-
it.
I think so much.
I want the easy pick.
if Harry doesn't go 103, Pete's gonna have a meltdown. Literally will.
Jake.
So someone
Jake,
should.
why don't- Jake,
So I should take.
Wait, we should give
Jake
Jake
take the 103. Let's see Jake take the 103.
You did want to trade back a little bit, Jake.
I want to see Jake. I want to see
sounds
Jake's
good.
answer.
All right, Jake, you're on the clock with the 103.
Man, I really thought DK would sneak into the end of the
Not the
background. So
It's gonna hurt.
It is. Well, listen, I have him in the same tier, honestly. It's really
Say it!
mostly just hating Peter. But I'm still gonna stick to my board and take DK.
You're such a fucking liar. I I am gonna watch you, Jake, in every league.
Who's at 104 and who's not going to take Harry? Because I want to see him fall to like the 108.
There's not a chance. Not a chance, Jake.
Oh,
You're
This turned from like the drafter party to be mean to Peter Howard. Like, so
Okay.
I'll take the
Got everything
104,
I need today. You can't bring me down.
and I'll go to Harry.
Okay, we're gonna put Harry at the 103,
yeah.
and
For trumping you, Jake.
He can say it. Make him fit.
Say it, Jake.
Oh, at
Do it.
103, I will take N'Keal Harry.
hey,
Oh, it's come to the point where I hate N'Keal Harry. It's my tier 1 wide receiver 2.
Every single podcast needs that clip so that it can be played over and over. That
It's fine.
Jake will now take N'Keal Harry above DK Metcalf. Please.
Peter, how happy are you that you traded for 102 in trade debt?
Right. Pretty happy. It didn't really matter.
I should have held on to that.
I
I really could have just held it over Peter's head.
have actually wondered if you'll take Harry 101.
Just to grant.
Then I'll trade him for Kyler plus.
So I just got a trade offer for N'Keal Harry. I did a rookie draft some time ago, a couple months now, I think, and drafted Harry at 101, I believe. So I've been offered Michael Thomas for N'Keal Harry, AJ Brown, a 2020 first and a 2021 second. Did N'Keal Harry what did I miss? He went to the Patriots, right?
that's right.
He's
Okay.
the easy
Yeah,
101
here's the thing.
in non-super flex.
All right.
That's what you.
He's been the 101. Being the second wide receiver drafted in the first round to a pretty good landing spot. I mean, he's not going anywhere.
Pretty good.
He's not going anywhere, at least consensus wise.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it should really be me to point out that, he's still probably going to take 3 years to break out. Julian Edelman isn't going anywhere. It's the hardest system to learn in the entire NFL. It doesn't matter. But, it's a wide receiver. We don't expect anything for at least 3 years. So I guess it should be.
Hashtag
to
wet,
point
wet.
that out.
Hey, Peter, have you ever tried to learn the Titan system? I think that's actually way more difficult. Another wide receivers duo lately.
Yeah,
I don't think their quarterback could throw a football last year either. So, I mean, in the
Hard to
wide
figure that
receivers'
out.
defense, I don't think that it's entirely their fault.
How do you catch an uncatchable ball?
You don't. That's the point.
So with the 104, let's put Paul on the clock and see if he'll take Daniel Jones.
I have a hunch.
It's so mean so early, Ryan.
Well, let's just stick with the trend.
This
Paul,
is stop
you
being
want
a mock draft and just more of a who can we torture next?
That's right.
That's
Right.
That's what the shows are all about. How can we make people feel bad?
Are we sticking just the guys who were drafted tonight?
No, it's
You can
wide
take
open.
whatever you want.
Oh, okay. Well, that changes it a little bit. If we're opening up to everyone, even with the picks that were made tonight, I'm still picking AJ Brown out of Ole Miss. I think he's going to come off the board in the first 5 to 10 picks tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a plethora of wide receivers going off the board tomorrow, maybe as many as 12 taken tomorrow. But I like AJ Brown. He's my number one wide receiver. I'm into the comms to Juju Smith. I like the versatility to play inside outside. I think he showed his athleticism better at the combine than people gave him credit for. He wasn't asked to win on the outside a lot at Ole Miss, but I think it's something he can do. Play strength, physicality, toughness, and I love his route running ability. I think Ole Miss put a lot more on his plate than DK Metcalf because I think they knew he could handle it, and they let DK Metcalf just do what he could do, which was run vertical routes and a couple other routes on the outside. I just think AJ Brown's going to transition a lot quicker and be maybe he definitely doesn't have the ceiling of DK Metcalf. I will grant that. But I think he's a rock solid. I don't see him not being successful at the next level. So I'll take the guy who I have basically the highest floor on at the wide receiver position, but still think he can be, pretty decently high ceiling as well.
Very solid pick. you consider Haskins there, Paul, since it's super flex?
Yeah, I mean, I think even in Superflex, I like Haskins' game, but I also think that fantasy-wise, there's a lot of guys that are like him. I think he's a Jameis Winston type player, best case scenario, a Roethlisberger, but more of like, before Roethlisberger really started putting up those gaudy stats early in his career, that wasn't really him. I think it's going to take a little while. And to be honest with you, the Redskins, we talked about it before, kind of joking around about franchises. The Redskins have never really been a place that people have prospered and grown. They don't have, who knows about Darius Geis, so I don't think they have a solidified running game. They have no playmakers right now at the wide receiver and tight end position. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a wait and see with Dwayne Haskins. I could see him for a while being just kind of in that mid, QB2 range before he kind of takes the next step and, kind of rises maybe, once some guys retire and guys get older, then I can see him emerge. But I think there's too many guys who are similar to him that I think A.J. Brown, to me, is the clear top wide receiver in this class. So I go there.
All right. No, fair enough. No, I think A.J. Brown's a great pick, and I think you're right. I think A.J. Brown has to go here, and there should be a wide receiver run. But we'll see.
Can I just
please do, Peter.
Ask, while we've got Paul here, the expert drafter who just killed that first round, I've actually expected less wide receivers to go. It's reminding me of 2013. Like, I'd be surprised to see 8 to go in the second round, but you're clearly the guy for the NFL draft, so I don't want to correct you or challenge that at all. But what I did see in like the Dane Bugler mock draft that we looked at last week was Andy Isabella going to the Chiefs, and I was just wondering if one of those players going in the second round might be him to the Chiefs. Like, what do you think the over-under and the likelihood of that is? Because that was a really exciting pick in that mock.
Well, I mean, Isabella's a guy, he's actually the last wide receiver that I have projected to go off the board tomorrow. Actually, no, sorry. I added Jalen Hurd right at the last minute before the draft started. But Isabella's a guy who I do think is going to come off the board tomorrow. I'd be surprised if it was in round 2. I think the round 2 guys are more going to be Metcalf, Brown, Paris Campbell, Deebo Samuel, Hakeem Butler, Miles Boykin, maybe Riley Ridley sneaking in. But I think on round 3, I think Isabella, Terry McLaurin, McCall Hardman, I think those guys, Arcega Whiteside, I think those are the guys that we could see in round 3. And I think Isabella would be really intriguing there. I mean, obviously with the latest situation today with Tyreek Hill, I think we have to assume that Tyreek Hill is not playing football this year. And I think we have to assume that the Chiefs now have this gaping hole to fill. And a guy like Andy Isabella, I think, could be very much in play because they can do. Listen, no one they're going to draft, if they draft anyone tomorrow, is going to be Tyreek Hill. But you can do. Andy Isabella is not the traditional white slot wide receiver that some might want to pencil him in to be. This is a guy who is way more versatile than that. Can get vertical, can play inside or play outside. He's much more of like a, in terms of play style, a T.Y. Hilton than like a Julian Edelman.
That's who I've got him. That's who I see him as well.
Yeah, so I think if he ends up with the Chiefs, I think he could be a home run pick, whether it's the second round or third round. They might have 2 picks tomorrow, the Chiefs too, if I remember correctly, in the second round. So maybe
I'm wondering if they make a move. Is the thing.
But they're gonna have to draft a wide receiver with Hill, and I think it's presumptuous of Paul to assume that whatever prison Tyreek Hill ends up in won't have a football team. But
I wasn't going there.
No. Yeah, that dude deserves to be in jail, so it's fine.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with that.
And when we started recording, guys, it came out Tariq won't take part in any team activities, so that's official.
Yeah,
he's done.
We know he's toast. I mean, he's done.
So they're gonna, and I mean, look, I love Sammy Watkins, but his track record of staying healthy and or producing is not the strongest. So I don't know that the Chiefs want to go in the next season with who's the third wide receiver?
Demarcus Robinson,
Byron
Travis
Pringle.
Kelce. I'm sorry?
Your breakout, Byron Pringle from Kansas State.
He's a
little bit older, a little bit mature.
A few people told me to pick him up from that were Chiefs fans. I should have known. Something was up with Hill. So yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to see them make some moves and get some wide receivers. Although I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to trade for one at this point either.
Yeah, they only have 2 picks tomorrow. Pick 61 and 63.
If they take a
So-
wide receiver that's not named DK Metcalf, sorry, Jake. If
Oh,
they take
DK
any
would
other wide
smash.
receiver, does he jump Harry as your wide receiver 1?
AJ Brown.
I think there are a few landing spots and a few good players left that it really could.
The Chiefs. I'm
right.
talking about the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Specifically them. If they take a wide receiver, do they automatically become your wide receiver 1?
No one's going to jump Harry, but he become the 2 probably.
Anybody else?
I disagree. I think if AJ Brown goes there,
Yeah.
I would consider jumping Harry just because of the long-term stability at quarterback, especially in dynasty. I think that plays a big role for me personally. I mean, obviously N'Keal Harry is checking all the boxes, as Peter says. So I don't.
I didn't actually say that. Jake said that.
Okay.
I said that in his impersonation of me.
Okay.
My only
It
thought
was
is
said more
that-
like an American saying it.
Yeah. Oh, come on. No. I want to hear Peter doing an impression of Peter. Come on.
unless the Chiefs radically move up, I don't think that Butler or Metcalf or Brown are in the conversation for them at the end of the second round. So I think those 3 guys that are really are the only guys with the potential to jump Harry. I don't think that they have the capital at this point with the needs that they've got, especially in defense. So
Yeah, I think there's a chance Butler could get there because the word is that draft Twitter, dynasty Twitter, all of us as evaluators were higher on him than a lot of NFL teams are. So if one of those guys is going to fall, it's going to be Butler, and I think that could happen.
Yeah, his betting odds were pretty high to be the one of the top wide receivers off the board. Which is the only thing that made me think that maybe that his high the mix of what you have for Butler maybe just be closer in the top the top 3 rounds than falling further.
Isabella to the Chiefs and AJ Brown to like the Packers or the Colts are the closest I think you could come to jumping Harry right now, and that's where I'm at.
Taking DK out of this equation is not fair, by the way.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Hey Ryan, what pick are we on?
We are on the 105. You want to take
As
it,
a
Will?
mock?
Man, we are flying.
We are flying.
We started this.
It's only 1:39 a.m. Eastern. Yeah. We probably should aim to end at 2 Eastern, guys. So maybe
Jesus.
that's 20
Let's
minutes.
wrap
No,
it.
Will. Yeah.
Rapid
So-
fire.
Maybe we do rapid fire. Will Greenwood at the 105.
Wait, what were the first 4?
No,
Murray,
no,
Jacobs,
no,
Harry, Brown.
Give the listeners a good.
All right, here we go.
Give the listeners a rundown.
Yeah.
No,
Kyler Murray, Josh Jacobs, Harry, and Brown.
all right, I'm gonna stick true here and assume this is tight end premium as well. I'm gonna go TJ Hawkinson.
I loved you softball, my friend. TJ Hawkinson. All right. Any
tight end,
thoughts on
Iowa Hawkeyes? If you guys were wondering,
just quickly? Is he everyone's tight end 1? I know he's
Nope.
not. So
My second
no.
tight end now. I'll take Fant.
Shocks me.
I'll
take
take
that.
whoever's cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'd rather have Fant than, given the choice, I'd rather have Fant than Hawkinson.
It's how you end up with Njoku.
I like how nobody's questioning Will's decision to just assume it's tight end premium and he's on the clock. Like, I mean, that just goes completely under the radar. Like, I call bullshit on that. I mean,
Can I assume it's like 4 quarterback and I'll just go ahead and take one of these quararterbacks that we're taking?
Yeah.
2 tight end guys, right?
I assume this is quarterback only, touchdown only. I'll take Haskins, please.
Tight end premium, right?
That's a big win for the Greenwood team in this draft. But no,
Yeah, you guys.
I wouldn't be scared to reach for Hawkinson. I try to keep that bias at bay quite a bit, but I think he's going to surprise people, and I think he's a way better receiver than what people give him credit for, and a way better NFL talent as far as being intelligent on the football field than like the over. I mean, he went at number 8, so like clearly the Lions value him, and he's going to be compared to Ebron. Whole different regime, whole different setting. I'm very excited to see what he's going to do.
He's still a tight end, so unless it's like super tight end premium, my feelings are it still doesn't matter.
Did you take Hollywood Brown? You take Hakeem Butler?
God, no.
What's going here?
Not taking Hollywood Brown. I'm not taking
Daniel Jones.
Let's find out. Let's find out who John Bosch takes with the 106.
Can I get a quick rundown? No.
Remember, this
Of
is a
course you
points for
can.
carry league now.
Yeah, points for carry. Okay, 101, Kyler Murray.
Peter
102,
Howard
Josh
took
Jacobs.
Nikhil Harry 5 times.
Yeah, Nikhil Harry with the 103 multiple
I would like
times.
to take him a 6th time, please. I trade up once more.
Multiple copies.
My liver.
So,
No, Murray, Jacobs, Harry, Brown, Hawk.
God. See, I would have taken Fant over Hawk, but I don't want to take a tight end that early.
It's
John,
super flex.
Haskins, man. Just take Haskins.
I don't care.
Daniel Jones is on the board.
John, stick to
I
your
have
brand.
zero interest in Daniel Jones there. I'm probably still going to go. God, these guys have not been placed yet. This is not fun. AJ Brown was taken, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
God, I really like him.
Poor
Can somebody
Trey's
flip,
falling
can
asleep on
somebody
us.
flip a coin and tell me where Butler and Sanders are going to land?
They're both going to the Colts. It was a surprise.
Hey, that's
What happened?
if the Colts get both of them, I will take Miles Sanders. That's easy enough. Miles
Damn
Sanders.
you.
then. They're both on the Colts. I take Miles Sanders.
All right, Miles Sanders is off the board of the 106.
He
Trey
went
Barrett
to,
at the one.
the Rams to back up John Kelly. Sorry. Forgot to tell you that.
Back up John Kelly.
Love it.
Pretty sure the only remaining actual guys that have been selected are Fant and Haskins, right?
It's got to be Haskins, dude.
You don't
Yeah,
have to
I'll take the next pick, and I'll take Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
Like, what are we? The 107?
107.
I mean,
I got the 108 then.
yeah. Give me Dwayne Haskins. I'm
Wait,
in.
you're the 103.
You've already got
I
Harry.
don't care.
DK Metcalf is not going in the first round of this mock.
Jake already took Nikhil Harry. We all heard
I'm
it.
gonna throw my laptop on the ground if DT doesn't
We
go
need
in the
wide
first
receivers
round.
that can run routes.
Oh god.
Did anybody tweet out that Jake took Nikhil Harry at the 103 yet?
It happened.
It
I don't
is
think it's all
standard
interesting.
super flex.
This is
Well, I think we should probably end this mock draft at the 107.
Nice.
Um,
DK
but I
Metcalf
wanna-
goes undrafted.
what I want to know, I really want to know where we think, because I'm curious about Daniel Jones. I mean, all kidding aside, where does he go in a super flex rookie draft?
If Josh Allen went in like the
Early
beginning to early second, Daniel Jones should go like in the middle to early fifth.
no, no.
Love it.
no.
I was not that much for that.
He's early second to somebody else in all of my leagues.
Right. It's going to be a game of chicken.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, but
I'd say
no.
early second.
Oh,
But not to me.
I would if I had multiple picks in that range, if I traded for like 3 picks between 2-1 and 2-6, and I could use a 4th quarterback, I probably would be willing to spend one of those picks on him just in the off chance that he ends up becoming because I'm happy with a Dalton or a Tannehill as my 4th quarterback.
Is a fourth.
So, yeah. Right. So I'm
quarterback.
saying if I've got luxury picks, if I've only got 1 2nd-round pick and it's 203, I'm not probably taking him because I think the talent is going to be too rich there. So it's completely going to be dependent on what picks I have and what my roster looks like. But I think it's going to be somewhere between 2-1 and 208, somewhere in that range is where I think he'll go in most leagues. Super flex.
So basically,
I think
whoever
he's
has
gonna
Eli
drop.
Manning.
I think it's going to drop a little bit more because I think as day 2 goes, we're going to get excited about a few other players. Right now, we hate all these guys that did not get drafted. They're going to get drafted today at this point in the night.
give me a couple hours.
Yeah, they're going to come off the board. It sucks. They don't have that first round draft capital. That sucks. But look, they're going to go to good places that we hope, right? That's what's going to
Second
happen.
round draft capital is fine.
Absolutely.
Second round's fine. Yep.
We wish them well.
Third round's okay. Fourth round, don't even bother, right? That's
But
how right
like a nice mid-late second round pick on Daniel Jones, I think is a great grab in a Superflex league. What's the downside there?
No, late second, that's fantastic.
But even late second.
204, like
Oh,
like
I
No.
don't want to spend
60th
that.
overall, 205.
No.
What if you owned Eli Manning already though?
Oh, then I'd probably do it.
I mean,
If Bruce
if you're
Arians
at that
says,
point,
if you
like,
draft for
might as
need,
well.
you get fired.
John owns Eli everywhere, and
One of my buddies in my home league texted.
Oh,
this.
Trey, I cheered when they took Daniel Jones. I was like, oh my God, I have 2 more years. It's amazing. I thought he was done this year. Little did I know.
One of my buddies in one of our home league chats, and this might not be politically correct or socially correct, but I thought it was so funny. He goes, Daniel Jones reminds me of a white Eli Manning.
That seems right.
that's hilarious.
That is not correct in any way.
but I still laughed.
Yeah.
I'll feel bad about it tomorrow.
So let me ask you guys this: What if Will, and I don't know exactly where the Patriots picks are, but what if Will Greer goes between the mid-second and mid-third, somewhere in that last half of the second, early half of the third, to the Patriots? Do you consider taking Greer over Daniel Jones?
I would
Nope.
consider it.
No.
I would.
would.
Not a chance.
I'd be tempted, but I don't think I would.
Yeah, just straight NFL draft investment. Nope, not at all.
I'd consider a wet ham sandwich over Daniel Jones right now. So maybe.
That's about the value of like a mid-second round rookie pick.
You get the air
Easily,
of Tom
so.
Brady though in that system. Like,
Peter, would you take DK Metcalf over Daniel Jones in Super
Yeah.
Bowl?
oh God.
Look at that. Peter's on
mean, it's
board
close.
with DK Metcalf.
What if Metcalf slips to the 4th? Just chatting fun here. All right. Who's next on the board?
If this is a
He
pretty
knows where I live.
Yeah.
I have to leave this conversation at this point.
All right, guys. It's do we want to? I think we can stop the draft, right?
Up to you, man. I'm happy to pick.
I think you just did.
Happy to pick Harry one night.
We got a shared tweet on our screen.
it's heavy. Oh my God.
The only
I
thing that
told
could have
people- I
been
told
better
you about this
if you
YouTube
would have
live show.
actually
I hope we're not
tagged
watching.
Bill Harry in that. Not that you should ever tag an NFL player, but this is the perfect time to tag DK Metcalf and Nikhil Harry.
You're getting compliments on it already.
Oh, that's great. That's really good.
Don't tag NFL players. I was just kidding.
Oh my God.
That would have been the perfect
I
time.
can't get over Peter's Patriots Abby.
Oh, Peter's got
That's
a
awesome.
Patriots Abby
Love it.
now? Are you
I love it.
serious? That's
It's
awesome.
like the least
Yeah.
English thing you could do.
Oh my God, I'm gonna die. He fucking caps it with the Patriots Abby.
Wait, Peter, have you been a Patriots fan for life, I assume?
Well, I really just wanted to team up with Zach Reed and,
Just for that
and
tweet.
Kyle, and that was just a cherry on.
Oh my
This
God.
is easily my favorite thing of the night. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
All right, we
All right.
wrap this up or whatever you got.
All right, we do have to wrap this up. Okay, so we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back Saturday live on YouTube at 10 Eastern, a little bit earlier.
Thank God.
And the draft will be over at that point, and we will react to the entire draft, have another mock draft, and we'll see.
They're
how
actually
these-
the players taken.
I
didn't
think
even
it's
get the
gonna be.
pick. I still don't believe there was a mark. I'm pretty sure.
Are you guys?
We got
Are you
to
guys?
wrap around.
This is like a half-ass mock
Harry
draft.
102. It wasn't your pick, Peter. So
But we got a long way to go. Tomorrow night's gonna be interesting. I know Jake and Peter, you're gonna be on with the Dynasty Dummies tomorrow night. They're doing a live show, right?
Yeah, they're
So-
a little earlier than you, so maybe I'll come back.
Yeah.
And, take
Well,
Harry.
we're not doing tomorrow night. We're just doing Saturday. So so check out the dummies tomorrow night during night 2 of the draft, and we'll be back on Saturday. Check out FF Joe's on Twitter to find the link, or go to our YouTube page, Fantasy Joe's. All right, so I don't even know if we want to give final thoughts. Probably not. So I'm just going to sign us off on behalf.
We just keep
I
rolling.
have a few.
All right, so
This is the
Ethan,
most laughter that's ever been on the draft.
That's his first one.
Yeah.
Goes by far.
Ethan, John, Jake, Peter, Paul, thank you all for coming. On behalf of Trey Barrett, Will Greenwood, I'm Ryan. We're the Fantasy Joes. See ya. See ya Saturday night.
Here's what I'm saying is